Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jordan Samuel Fleming, and I have to say, this is a bit of a virtual episode. The next couple may be a little virtual because I am traveling, and rather than just stop, well, here I am. Anyway, delighted to say that this week's guest was really great to speak to. Chris Prefontaine from Smart Real Estate Coach. Really very switched on, very focused guy, diving into the kind of creative financing side of real estate, which is something that we really dive into and kind of dig into why it is something that newer investors should look to. It really opened my eyes, I got to say, and clearly Chris has got a very focused approach and has a huge experience there. And listening to sort of how he and his company and his coaches bring people into that process now, I think it sounds like a fantastic opportunity. I learned a lot, and I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. I'll shut up now and let you get right into the conversation I had with Chris. Do stay to the end where Chris has some amazing free giveaways for you as well. Let's head over to the show. And I'm live here with Chris. Chris, thank you so much for joining That Real Estate Tech Guy today. Before we begin our chat, can you just give the listeners a little introduction to yourself?
Yes, I've been at real estate 34 years. I won't bring you through that. I'll put everybody to sleep, Jordan. But I've touched a lot of the different niches out there after the crash of '08. I'll say the market change of '08 in a big way. That was the impetus to do what we do today. So I'll fast forward to today. We, being the family company, myself, my son, my son-in-law, we do our own real estate deals where we don't use banks. We don't put down gobs of money. We don't sign personally ever. It's all creative financing. And we then coach and mentor and do deals with students all around North America doing the same thing. So we don't just say, here's a program, good luck. We actually do deals with them. We're in about 80 markets or so right now. And again, they're doing the same thing. No banks, no signing personally on bank loans, no using gobs of your own money. And so that's kind of how we fast forwarded through the 34 years. But I can go back to any piece of that, please, if you want.
Well, actually, let's stay at the present for now, because one of the things, I think a lot of people get into real estate investing, and obviously they get there, they whatever, they see a webinar, they see an event, the story that everybody goes through. Creative financing tends to come in the middle of the journey, from what I have seen. It's not something that I've seen a lot of the people who are getting started out really understand. Can you guys, given that that's your today, maybe let's focus in a bit on, why that's such a relevant thing right now, why that's such a good thing, so that people who maybe have heard about it can understand, how do they take the leap? What's involved?
Yeah, this is very, very well put, because a couple of reasons. One is people are out there, and this isn't any priority order, just things I'm thinking of, because you nailed a bunch of things there really well. People are teaching, okay, you got to go learn wholesaling first. Okay, I have a lot of good friends that do it and make a lot of money, but I'm going to say with the benefit of hindsight that you're creating another job. Fix and flip for a new person can be really tough. You're also creating another job. I will tell you that a lot of the niches being taught, some legitimately, are teaching how to time certain markets or geographically go over here or over here. The fact is, if you know creative real estate, it's been around way before me and you and everyone else listening. If you know creative real estate, you don't care where in the market, you don't care if it's up, down, or sideways, you know you can operate. And there's a certain confidence and clarity that comes with that. And when I came out of the crash, 4 years, I was in my own way. I was just messed up financially, mentally. And I said, all right, well, let's do something that can operate in every market. So I'm not up at night worrying about a bank loan or debt or what the market's going to do. I don't care. I really don't. In fact, when the new person comes in and learns creative, they can be the authority in every single marketplace, literally, if they wanted to, no matter where you are listening from, I meant. So creative is absolutely a way to start. And then you can tack on any of those basic niches if you want later on. But creative is absolutely the way to go, in my opinion. Of course, I'm biased, but I'm strongly focused on that for all the newbies, because that's what I'm trying to teach people. Start here, understand the skill set, and get your confidence up.
Well, and I think that's really interesting, because so many times when I speak to, coaching companies, or coaching communities, wholesaling is 100% where everybody starts in most of those communities. I won't say 100% all the time, but in the vast majority of them, wholesaling is where everybody starts. And I understand why as well, because in theory, it's a pretty easy model with pretty low input and low risk. If there's just a bit of legwork, right? It is just a bit of graft to it. But I've rarely see people talk about the creative side as a first entry point. So you said that you actually, of course, do have a mentorship or a teaching side of your business now. Do you take people from absolute beginners? What sort of structure do you have set up now with that?
Yeah. Two things. One is to go back to your earlier point, and then I'll go to the what kind of makeup is about avatar. One is the wholesaling. Here's a very important thing to know if you know nothing about creative. We trademarked what's called the 3 paydays, and payday 1 for us is almost the exact same thing as if you did a wholesale deal and left. Okay, I did my deal, I'm out of here. Now I got to go find another deal. It's a treadmill. Whereas our 3 payday system, your payday 1 that you create, that will teach you how to create, that is just like getting that one check. The difference is now you're in that deal and you have cash flow and you have long-term income. So just to distinguish that. As far as the people, yeah, actually 98 to 99% of the people that come in, almost everyone comes in having a job somewhere else and not having experience in creative. Almost everyone. Now, do some people come in from other niches like wholesaling and they go, hey, I want to tack this on? Sure. But there's a large majority that come on brand new, and at the same time, they're trying to leave their JOB. That's kind of like a lot of the people we deal with. And our program is set up foundationally to bring people from A to Z, literally. Like, nothing, you're 3rd grade level, let's start you off, let's bring you through our onboarding. Now, if we find someone gets caught up in that and they're like, hey, I've got all this experience, I've got, I own property, we run into that. We say, okay, great, we'll fast forward it. But we got to start everybody at the same level so we're on the same playing field. Just, if nothing else, Jordan, for the vernacular. Like, how do we operate? What do the 3 paydays mean? Like, all the things and the nuances that we teach, that we've trademarked a bunch of them, you got to learn them, right? And then once you do, you're golden.
You got to set that base level of knowledge, that common language, and then if you do have a lot of experience in other methods, you probably can push the boat even faster because you've got a certain element of experience.
That's kind of it. Like, look, I give these guys some background. I was in real estate, 17 or 18 years prior to the crash. And then, so you'd think that I would know a lot of the creative, but pieces of it. Like, of course, I knew of owner financing, I knew of, wholesale. I knew, but I didn't wrap it all together. So yeah, if you come in with any kind of base knowledge, you're a realtor, you're a wholesaler, you're a flipper, you own property, you're buying hold, you do have a base foundation vernacular that I can probably feed off of much more quickly. Yeah, but it's not required.
And so when you say, you obviously have a very, I don't want to date you, but you've got a long history in real estate, and before the crash, what was your journey through, what was that 17 years before you sort of made this full pivot? What was that like? Can you give us a bit of sense of that journey and what you were doing then?
Sure. So I'll go real quickly through it and you can, again, piece back if you want. So 91, my dad had a welding supply company and he sold it. And I was supposed to I was like the general manager, like 5 branches, brick and mortar branches. Well, I got fired after I don't even know what it was, maybe a month. Like, they fired me. My father was even shocked. So all that to set up the scene here. So I left there with kids 2 and 3 years old, no income, no nothing. Okay. Luckily I had started building a few homes. So we were building homes in the early 90s. I survived off of that. We went off to build a couple hundred homes. I then bought a Realty Executives franchise. For those of you in the realtor world, I put my realtor hat on, never had done that. Sold that to Coldwell Banker back in 2000. From 2000 till the crash, I was coaching high GCI realtors, not investors, people that were making money, but their life was a mess. So I was helping them through that process. And then the crash happened. And then that's where I brought you to the story, because that crash was February of 8, yeah, to February of 12. That was a window that I was a mess mentally and financially and couldn't get on my own way until a few mentors and trusted business owners said, Chris, you didn't take the national market down. You got to get out of your own way. And so that fed me into establishing some rules that I would never sway from. That is how we operate today. So I don't know if I answered your question and then some, but feel free to peel me back.
No. But I think it's always interesting because when you've got a relative long history and then you make a pivot, and it's not a drastic pivot, but it is a refocusing. I would guess I would brand it more than anything. I always find that interesting because in this case there was an external impetus for it. The crash sort of took everything apart. But it is also very interesting because you see a sort of that arc of where you are today, how you as pivot and then bring up. I think a lot of people in real estate resonate with those sorts of arcs because almost everybody's in real estate because they're trying to accomplish this. They've got this kind of either they're boxed in, they're trying to get rid of their job, they're trying to figure out the next step. So I think a lot of people resonate with a story like that.
No, I appreciate it. And I think here, what came to mind when you were talking about that is this. If you're listening to this and you go, yeah, I like to, I can't scale yet. I got to get started. And then I want to scale. If you're looking to do that, do this for yourself. I'm biased to creative, but do this. I'll talk general in real estate. One, get a niche that you go, regardless of the two you and I are talking about, get a niche that you go, you know what? I can get behind that. Because there's a different flavor and energy to every niche, right? Some good friends I have teach lay-in flipping. You can do it online. You can do it from anywhere in the world. Great. If that's you, perfect. Some wholesalers and flippers have to get houses at 60 or 70 cents on the dollar. Fine. If that's your cup of tea, right? Yeah. Ours tends to be very win-win kind of healthy environment. And if that's for you, great. So pick that. Second, there's only 3 steps here. Second, find someone in the niche that is where you want to be and has already gone through at least, I say, 2 economic cycles, preferably more, but 2 economic cycles and maybe even some personal challenges along the way, right? Because life just happens. And if you're going to go hang out with someone or mentor with someone or apprentice with someone, you want to be able to go to them and go, hey, Jordan, I just had this happen. What do you do? Well, if they never had any of those experiences, it's kind of tough. And I also mean to the extent of their relationships, if it's important to, with their family and their values. For example, Jordan, you and I can go out and find someone tomorrow that had huge success, but as a result, wrecked the health of the relationships, right? I know people. So find that person or group. Third and final is the hard one. It's put on the blinders for a good 3 years and don't deviate to the shiny object. If you do that in any business, you'll have a great experience. But unfortunately, real estate's being marketed to us left and right, and we're getting bombarded by get rich quick tomorrow, and it throws people off.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt this amazing conversation, but I wanted to make sure you knew that Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors, connects to the best-in-class real estate investment CRMs. And because, as it's my show and I am co-founder and chairman of Smartphone, I got some great deals for you. Click the link and take advantage of 5,000 minutes free calling with Smartphone, the only phone system built for real estate investors. Click and call. Close more leads. Back to the show.
I absolutely, the shiny object problem in real estate, particularly in the investor side of things, is always a problem. And a lot of my customer base and a lot of I've trained over the years are either fix and flippers or wholesalers, the majority of what they do. And the amount of times you have to kind of get them to stay focused.
Yeah.
And stay focused, like even just a little thing like stay focused on the leads you're working and not just like, don't just keep chasing new leads, but focus on the ones you've got is a constant problem and a constant challenge. And and I think your point is really valid. In almost any business, if you are laser focused for a couple years, your chances of success, unless you're really stupid and you're just not capable. But if you're a basically capable person, your chances of success, that focus is going to give you a way, way bigger one, without question.
It's sad to see. I see it in my community and I see it elsewhere in life, but it's sad to see people that are just stopping, just kind of shy of, hitting it big. I have the opposite happening too, though. I have, like, one comes to mind, all the coaches, and we have coaches now in the community, not just me. And we're on a text thread, and a particular individual that's had some life challenges, one of our community members, is about to have a breakthrough with a deal. Now, she's been at it a while. She could have quit several times over, and she kept saying, this is it. I have to have this. And she's about to hit a 3 payday deal that's, well into 6 figures. Well, what if she just stopped 3 months ago, right? But this happens all the time, in both directions. So yeah, just don't give up on yourself. And if you have a mentor or a group, use them to get you through it, because entrepreneurship can suck. It's not easy. So you need someone, in my opinion. I like your opinion on that, but for mentors and coaches, but I think it's super important.
I absolutely think it's important. Uh, I have been in my own businesses. I'm 47 and I've had my own businesses for 20 years. I've never, as an adult, because I was doing a PhD, so that was the university for a while. As an adult, I've never worked for me, and I can't, I never have. And I have had mentors the entire way, because you need it, because regardless of how capable you are, or how confident you are, or anything else, your skill level, having someone give that outside perspective to you will keep you on the right track and will stop you before you ever deviate too far if you've got someone trusted. And I
The
think that's
opposite
where
is true too, right? Meaning,
100%.
I can think of examples. So I came out of the crash, and I just told everyone it took 4 years to get out of my way. Well, one of the many persons I talked to said he literally chuckled at the stuff I went through and said, "Here's what I went through." And when he listed the stuff he went through, I was like, "Whoa!" Like mine's nothing. So you just got to pick it up and look around. I had a guy in my podcast, David Nurse. He trains and works one-on-one with these college guys coming out for basketball, and they're making millions. And he said, Chris, what we do is we take one thing they're trying to work on, we find a person online to model after, and that's what we work on for a year. Well, so my point is that the mentors and the coaches and the people you can get help from, they're out there. Just go find them.
Well, and to your point as well, I think taking the point about performance another step, I think people a lot of times think performance is a magical thing you either have or you don't, and performance is honed. And athletes are the best example of this. I remember years ago, there was a cycling team for the Tour de France, and they were talking about how they were looking at like a fractional percentage increase of performance on a month-to-month training plan. But those fractional increases added up to the 3 or 4% increase they needed to beat the other professionals. And and to the point for me was never, oh, well, the professionals are working like that. My point was always, it's that kind of dedicated craft and training that is applicable to every scenario.
Yeah.
And if you train it and you evolve your skills, those percentages add up to wins.
I love it. What the quote came to mind when you were saying that how you do anything is how you do everything, right? It's just habits. So anyway, we see what we're doing now. So we're talking real estate, yet all this other stuff we're talking about. Why? Because that's, unfortunately, it's not just, I'll show you how to do a deal. You could go on my YouTube channel and look at 500 deals. We post them. If it was that easy. But unfortunately, it's not that easy. It's all this other stuff you and I are talking about, and that the headspace, the tech stuff, it's everything.
Yeah, well, I absolutely correct, and I'm excited to be able to get people more information on your programs, because, as I said, I genuinely feel like a good 90% of the time the focus is always on wholesale to get started. And not that that's a bad thing. I'm like, again, I'm not, there's no criticism on anything, but I think having other options and understanding what, to your point, I think is exactly right. Find the model that suits you.
Yeah.
Because if it suits you, you're going to want to wear it. You're going to want to inhabit it. You're going to want to live it. But if you're doing a model that is causing friction, and you don't just, or you get too nervous, whatever it is, you're not going to stick to it. You're not going to have those increases in performance and all of that. So I think that point is a really valuable one about understanding how to find the niche that you really like.
Yeah, I love it.
So I'm going to do one little bit of technology with you before we go, because I genuinely want to, I know you've got some giveaways as well, and I want to make sure we have time for that. And I got to respect your time as well. One of my biggest focuses and why I started this podcast is all these different models. To me, it's all about building a scalable business. And scalable businesses to me, at this point, I've got 65 people in my company, and we've sort of scaled up our company, and I know exactly how hard it is to scale a business. I know exactly the pain points of that. And technology is the thing that does scale up, that does help you scale a system. And without it, you're sort of lost. Can you think, as you sort of has gone through your journey, with the different hats you've worn in real estate as well, can you kind of give an idea or a bit of background on where you saw technology being a massive improvement or help, or where it started to impact your real estate journey in a much bigger way?
Yeah, I think of a few things. I'll go today and I'll go backwards. Just with AI in general, I'll give you one little thing that's hours and hours and hours and hours of work put aside, potentially we're working on. So if you're in that community, you're doing live calls, you're putting them in Slack, and a coach is putting on the headset and listening to that entire call and critiquing it. And it is grueling. It is the fastest way for them to improve, but it's grueling for me and the coaches to do that. So now we're training the AI to critique those calls. Well, even if we have to oversee some of that, and eventually we won't, hours and hours are available now for the coaches to do what? Go do more deals and scale that way for the students. So that's huge. Going backwards, things like when we started the coaching company over a decade ago, just organically, people asking us for help locally, and then it grew across North America. They would have to go out, get a CRM, get a website for 8 or 10 grand. They'd have to go out and create some work automation. That would be a different system called Podio back then. Now we have one system, and it's probably, I don't want to say 1/100th of the cost, but it's a couple $100 a month instead of spending several thousands of dollars. It's our white labeled REI Black Book thing, but it has system. It has the CRM, the website, all the workflows, everything in one system. It's crazy compared to what it used to be. So that's just one example, but that's just in the trenches in the real estate world.
Absolutely. And the AI point is, so my company, Smartphone, we're just in the process of launching an AI agent marketplace where AI, not only can you get one agent, but there's going to be a marketplace of different agents, including the not only the call scoring, because that your point of call scoring is so valid, like being able to have AI score every single call is a huge game changer for the coaches, because there's no scalability there. But we actually are also building live coaching as well, so that the AI can actually listen to a live call with an agent and actually be giving those hard and soft tips, like, you're speaking too much, ask more questions. All these little bits, slow down. What it's like. New people on the phone, what do? They speak quick.
Fill air.
They fill the air, right? They got to do it. And so the AI agent can actually coach them to bring the tempo down.
Love it.
And those little bits of technology means that, performance doesn't have to be retrospective. It can actively be on the go in real time. And that's where technology is absolutely crushing it. Well, before we get before I let you go, and before I get you to let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, I do have a couple key questions I always ask the guests, and I'll run them by you. Number one is, can you tell me about your greatest mistake you've ever made with real estate technology? Your greatest mistake with technology?
Yeah, taking on, I'll be brief without names, but taking on a technology that was, number one, brand new, number two, not even proven yet. So then it crippled when it went down, it crippled us. So just research. Let me just put it that way, research.
I like the subtle. We'll offline. You can tell me what happened. So the second question I have is, and this could actually be your first question, the same answer. If people are just starting to look at technology for real estate, what would your advice be? I'm guessing research may be one of them.
Well, you know what? Tie this one back to the mentor 3 steps we said, because every niche is slightly different. Whoever is the person you're looking up to in that niche, get their recommendations and then do your own research. Sure.
Okay. And the final question is, if there were, if there's someone who's just coming to you starting out, what 3 pieces of technology would you say they should start to work with?
I'm gonna qualify this with depends on the budget, right? Because I was broke. I needed a cell phone, right? Okay. So I know it goes without saying, but from a technology standpoint, I personally would say besides your cell phone, something like, doesn't have to be exact, but something like an Asana for tasks in a Slack for communication. It doesn't have to be those two, but something like that for communication and tasks.
Okay. And just to draw you a bit further, why those two, communication and task, why is that so critical for you if they're just starting out?
Because if you're just starting out, you're going to get caught up in kind of like that creative avoidance syndrome, right? I got all these pieces of paper. I got, you don't have any tech. You don't have anything for flow. You are going to get caught up in the weeds. And then you cannot do the top 1, 2, or 3 things that you should be doing, which in my world is talking to sellers, period, right? If you're doing anything else and you're not relying on tech to do that, your tasks, your communication, etc., then you're wasting time. You're a glorified assistant.
Well, and I'm going to follow up with that just as one little thing. And my point of advice to people is one thing I've noticed some new investors do, they're scared to go on the phone, right? They're scared to make those calls to the sellers. That's a normal thing, by the way. Like, nobody should be ashamed of that. That's a totally normal thing. You can train yourself out of that. But look for the mentor that's going to help you with that, because what I have seen happen is people start going, they don't want to make the sales call, so they're going to start fiddling with their CRM a little, and then they're going to start I'm going to create some more reports. It's almost like I'm going to do my accounts, like, because like I can avoid being on this phone. So one advice I'd have is, if you see yourself doing that, get someone who can coach you out of it.
Yeah, hold you accountable, right? It's one and the same. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and it's also you train new people, so you know how new people are often scared to make phone calls, right?
Yep.
They're often right. Like I wasn't exactly like, I can't wait to call this person who's never heard from me before, but you can train yourself out of that if you have a good mentor, a program, or a structure to work off of.
Yeah, here's a thought for those. If you listen, that's you. Listen, we have hundreds of live calls we utilize that they get to listen to. So I tell them, listen to that until, like, when you were little and you hear a song, you know what the next word was going to be, a verse, because you heard it so many times. Listen to us on calls until you know what we're going to say next. And then know that there's not this daunting amount of data you have to learn. There's not. There's probably 10 commonly asked questions and, 15 scripts. Learn those. You just get really obsessed with learning those, and then the rest is fun.
Yeah. And learn how to listen. Learn how to listen so that when you are on a call, you're not so focused on your next thing or whatever that you're not listening to what that person's saying, because it's what he's saying or she's saying that's going to give you that clue to go, oh, there's my in, or there's my bit of there's my bit of information that I can pocket, because that's what matters to them the most.
Spot on. Yeah.
Well, listen, Chris, first of all, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you finally in person. Let's just focus the last minute or so on your program, how people can get the benefit of what you do.
Yeah. I'm big on free, Jordan, because of all the garbage that's out there. You and I talked about, like, all the stuff bombarding them. So I'm big on free. So I mentioned in passing, go to the YouTube, Smart Real Estate Coach. Just type in Smart Real Estate Coach. We have many things we release every week, but one's a deal structure Sunday. There's 400 or 500 deals on there, maybe more. So go watch that. You can get my free books, a couple of them. When I say free, it's not one of the free offers that you got to put in shipping, because that's not free. So this is truly free. Go to wickedsmartbooks.com, wickedsmartbooks.com/Jordan, and you'll get those books, our cost, right from this office. Sue will send them out to you. And then if you want to look further after that, sure, get in touch with us. You'll have plenty of ways to do that once you get on either one of those platforms.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure that in all of the posts, in the show notes, etc., all those, that link is there for you guys. Please, if you're listening to this and you've got any curiosity around this, check it out. Amazing free gifts from Chris. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, and it was a pleasure to meet you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another amazing episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com to check out all episodes and get special discounts on tons of awesome real estate technology platforms.